All right. This is a disappearing objects phenomenon. I think this is part 5. Okay, now, in the last video I was telling you I was missing 2 machinist rule. Now, machinist rules with an S, plural. You can see them. They're right here. And you say, well, how did they get there? Well, I'll tell you. This was on the workbench. And I grabbed into the drawer, which right now I got the drawer out of the toolbox. I took it out one more time to look. You work with one, and then you set it down like on this. In this case, this looks pretty bright, but if this was off to the side, these almost blend in. Well, anyway, so in other words, you're working with one, and you set it down. And this is over on the side. So you set it where you think you're going to remember it is. And then you quickly go for the rule, and out of the corner of your left eye, you see a rule down in the drawer. So you pick the second one up. Now, when you put the second one down, you put it in the same place. Now, when you clean up, you pick up the case like this, and you put it on a high shelf behind me. Okay? Now, I've transported 2 machinist rules. Okay? And I told you, one of the ways you can really lose something is to transport it unknowingly through someone else. And I gave you the story of me putting my insurance bill on the steps going up to the room, and my mother putting a box on top of the insurance bill, and the bill sticking to the bottom of the box, me getting a notice a couple weeks later that I hadn't paid my insurance, and then when I get the months later, when I got the box out with the Christmas stuff in it, I noticed something made noise on the bottom of the box, and I peeled it off, and it was my bill for my insurance that had gone missing. And there's always an explanation. Now, what I really dreaded was senility. Okay, I tell you, my father, when he turned about 60, his memory got real super bad, and I tend to remember people's names. I got a lot of stuff bouncing around in my head. A lot of people have been dying lately. So when I'm working on something, and I move something out of the way, I'm really not paying attention. I told you that one instructor would say, Mr. Whalen used to talk, he used to sound like between Elmer Fudd and W.C. Fields. That's the way his voice was. Well, anyway, he'd say the eyes look, but the eyes don't see. So when you're building something, and you use the rules and you set them down, you may know where they are, but now it's time to put the Dremel box back. And you grab the box, you pick it up, you twirl around, you put it up on the shelf. Now, I was lucky that this has a lip in it, so these didn't come down and hit me in the eyeballs when I took the box down. Okay? But I'm really glad I found this, because, I'm starting to doubt my sanity lately, because a lot of really bad things have been happening. And I took a walk. I didn't take a nap. Took a walk. I was down at the park, and I was telling the guy there, and see, this didn't hit me. There were a pair of gloves down on the ground, and they said T on them. Now, Troy is the one that lost the gloves, but it never hit me that T was Troy. And I went over to Troy, and I said, did you find those pair of gloves? He goes, yeah, so-and-so found them. I said, I left them on the ground where you left them. I said I was going to move them up to one of the garbage bins. They have a top on them. I said I was going to place them there, so when you came back with your truck, you might spot them. But I'm thinking, if I put them out in the open where other people would see them, you'd get some clown that would take them home because they're a free pair of gloves. But I was telling him, I said, yeah, I have the disappearing objects phenomenon. But most of the time, it does come down to that you did something really wacky, and you do more wackier things when you're in a hurry, and you're in a hurry, you're under stress, and you're thinking about other things that you shouldn't be thinking about while you're working on it. But all it did was, I start rebuilding or unwinding some used toroids, and I have to clean this one up a little bit. This one's got a lot of silicon caulking, but I laid them out to decide how big a piece of perf board I needed. And the first thing you got to do is measure the length of the perf board, and then you double check, and then you start building your circuit. Or you have to cut the perf board. But in other words, As soon as I look down into the drawer, and I have the drawer out, the drawer is actually out of the toolbox, because I thought maybe it got down behind the back, and I'm thinking, no, this is going to be a good one. I knew this. I knew they were going to be together, but in other words, this was off to the side, and I put the first one down on it, and with the lighting and depending on what time of the day is, right now you could see them pretty good, but towards nighttime, the glare wouldn't be on these if they were off to the side. And then I grabbed the second one because the drawer is open. I see the other one. I grabbed that one. And you don't remember you already have one out. Trust me on this. When you're working with a lot of tools and you're working on a project, you don't even, in your mind, you don't even have a list of the tools that you just started using. And that's why I tell you, if the phone rings or someone calls you to the front door, be very careful not to take anything with you. Little kid comes around and, does Billy live here? Would you like to buy some Girl Scout cookies? You're at the front door. You take your glasses off, and they tell you, oh, you don't have to pay us now. You pay us later. Okay. Meanwhile, you took your glasses off and set them down somewhere, maybe in the kitchen on the way to the front door. Okay. Now you come back up. You're back in the project. You're getting your mind back in there. You're not thinking about the peppermint thins, but maybe you are. You're thinking about peppermint thins. And you go to look at something, you can't see it, so you go for your glasses. And in your mind, you're thinking about peppermint thins, but you don't remember answering the door with the kids selling the cookies, but with their parents too. A lot of times they're with their parents. You get in a conversation. You took your glasses off in the kitchen. They're downstairs. You're upstairs. You're thinking about peppermint thins, and you can't find your glasses. And then the frustration sets in. And I don't care how well you check your workbench. The glasses aren't even on the same level of the universe that you are. You're up on a second floor, and they're down on the first floor. Okay? And then when you do find the glasses, you start thinking, well, how did they get there? I don't know how good your memory is. I remember, oh, yeah, I answered the door. Oh, son of a bitch. But in my case, you'll be distracted by them, maybe talking about the neighborhood or whatever. Mine is when a Girl Scout rings the doorbell, I start thinking about peppermint thins, those thin mints. In this case, last time, I don't think she had them. I end up getting the Raisinets, the big jar of Raisinets. But I think that's it. Once again, it wasn't mystic. Okay, it wasn't a spirit that stole they parked on me. I did it to myself, and it's pretty funny, If I had put this up there on the shelf, and it's up above eye level, so I could never see these unless I took it down. I think that's it. All right, that's it.